Good afternoon, boys and girls. I would love for us to start on some creative writing. If you would all take out a piece of paper and quietly work on creative writing. We're going to focus on what you did this weekend, so please let at least be 100 words. Let's get started with that now.
Oh, Miss Virginia, can you please tell Donna to leave me alone?
It's on me.
Really? Miranda, if you disrupt the class one more time, you're going to the office.
Really?
All right, we're going to wrap up creative writing, and we're going to move on to our math here. If you would all just put away your creative writing, and then we're going to go ahead and take out our math journals.
Miss Virginia, again.
Miranda.
Can you? It's not me, it's Dawn.
Miranda, I'm going to tell you one more time to quit disrupting class, or you're going to get written up. I noticed that you did not put up your creative writing. Would you please take out your math
workbook? That has not been
workbook?
5 minutes, and I don't have my 100 words on my piece of paper.
I said please take out your math work.
I said I had not finished my 100 words, and that you did not give me my 5 minutes to
If you
finish.
continue to
said
disrupt
5
this
minutes.
class, I will write you
You
up.
can write yourself up.
I'm going to need you to go to the office.
I can hear you. That's what you're saying.
Miranda! Aaron, get out of here! Go to the office! No fucking you! Oppositional defiance disorder. That's what we're focusing on today. Thank you all for your help. You were great.
She threw my pen.
She did.
I know, I was joking.
So what is oppositional defiance disorder? Oppositional defiance disorder is a pattern of disobedient, hostile, or defiant behaviors. This is usually pointed toward authority figures like parents, teachers, even police officers. Some of the challenges that these children have, if a teacher gives you an activity like we demonstrated, you do not follow requests, a lot of times they have a hard time following requests. Angry and resentful towards others. They're often just spiteful and want revenge for no reason, even sometimes. They have constant trouble at school. They can't pay attention. They constantly argue with adults. They blame others for their own mistakes, as Dawn, you see, did back there. She was saying it wasn't her fault. It was Miranda's fault. Obviously, it was Dawn's fault. She was placing the blame on poor Miranda over there. Touchy or easily annoyed, as you've seen with Erin. She got really agitated whenever I asked her to change subjects. Even though this is common in both genders, male and female, it is typically seen in boys. Now, ODD, some of these behaviors are seen in toddlers, and it is very typical to see these in toddlers. It's when they grow out of the toddler stage and get into being a young child that we transition this into ODD. They don't know how to self-soothe or self-control.
Okay, and I have a poem about oppositional defiant disorder from a medical person's view. Now to those who think they are smart, better do some medical reading, and take seriously these words at heart, because you don't know your brains are short-circuiting. Uncontrolled stress gets to the speech nerves. Agitation and daily mounting stress can be manifested by profane cursing words that, when untreated, make you brainless. It's a sign of oppositional defiant disorder and needs some resolve in psychiatry, and may worsen in years for the speakers. The agitation may not be limited to profanity. The inward turmoil may express in action, and the cursing may not be just verbal attack. The illness of cursing is a mental condition that needs to be cured and its growth held back.
Now we will look at a video of the child's perspective.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm okay. I just found out that I have oppositional defiant.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm okay. I just found out that I have oppositional defiant disorder.
What's that?
It means that I don't always act in appropriate ways. Like I don't do what the teacher asks me to do. And sometimes I do stuff to annoy the other kids.
What kinds of stuff?
Sometimes the teacher tells me to do something and I tell her no.
Is that all that you do?
No. When she told me to put up my book and get out my journal, I crawled under my desk and started throwing erasers at the other students. Apparently that was considered oppositional.
Didn't you care you were going to get in trouble?
Not when I was acting up. Like the time that I kept bothering Mary, a girl in my class. Every time she would start to work, I would whisper something to her so that she would get distracted.
What were you whispering to her?
Oh, you know, just random animal names. Chicken, platypus. Mara finally told the teacher that I was annoying her and she couldn't work. The teacher told me that if I didn't quit, then she would write me up. I told the teacher that she could write herself up. I had to spend the rest of the day in the office.
Okay, now I have a poem from the child's point of view. My culture has no place for me. I, the being to which the word I gestures, has no place in my society. Language, instruction, behavior. Look at me, and I see all of the words inside their skull that they are already used to judge me. Perform well, positive judgment. Perform poorly, negative. My future is a long, dark tunnel of being invisible, eclipsed by grades, resume, so many marks of status. The only thing left to do is stop performing and wait to be recognized. I am defiant, but of the misguidance, I hope that one day I will be seen.
Okay, now we have a list. We have a list of what teachers can do. This is not the child that is just spoiled. This is not the child that, is just misbehaves. It's almost comical, and I've had a couple of children that have been diagnosed with ODD. It's comical to see that teacher like, put up with that. Give yourself 10 minutes in that classroom and let me see if you don't put up with that. Or let me see how you handle that. Because what happens is a lot of times there's a tug of war. You're going to do what I say. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, you're not. And that's all that's accomplished. The first thing that we have is stay calm. That's the hardest thing to do. Be calm and be calm but be firm. These kids are, the way they're wired is to push your buttons and to make your nerves just, frazzled. So to go at them differently than any other adult. Establish trust. Again, go at them differently than any other adult has done. They look at adults as, people who get onto them, people who don't like them. They're that kid who walks in the class and the teacher doesn't want them there, or the students don't want them there. They get on everybody's nerves. So they don't have good social skills. They don't have a lot of friends. So it's important that as the teacher, you let them know, I'm not your enemy. We're going to get through this together, and we're all going to learn something out of this. Because you yourself will learn something as well. Positive reinforcement. This encompasses a lot of things. Be specific when you give praise. Don't just say, oh, you did a good job. I like the way you lined up with your class. That was helpful for us. Or that helped your class. Model these behaviors. If you have rules set for your students, follow those rules yourself. And show that you can do that. Don't just, and when there is an issue, don't just punish. Teach the correct behavior. And don't ask, did you hit your friend? If you ask any child between the age of 3 and, 25, if they did something wrong, they're going to lie. Don't give that opportunity. If you saw that, I saw you hit your friend. Let's talk about why you did that, and let's talk about what you're going to do next time so that doesn't happen. Because you can't just say don't do it. They have to know what to do. What happens next? Well, they made me mad. What am I supposed to do now? You have to tell them what they're supposed to do next. Give easy to follow verbal and written instructions. Focus on prevention by keeping students busy. Children with ODD cannot handle not having something to do or not knowing, they can't handle not knowing what's going to come next. So post daily schedules and weekly schedules. Have some sort of schedule of this is when we go to exploratories or this is what we're going to do next. Have it written on the board. If they can't read yet, have pictures done so they know what's going to happen next. Create a cool down or a safe place for them. And when I say that, I mean an area when they get frustrated. This is where you need to go and you need to take a minute. Have certain things there that they can use, squeeze balls or something that they can do to get away from that stress. Because what happens is they can't control it, so that's when they're gonna go crazy over you. This is not a favoritism issue, this is not you get special treatment. It's an accommodation. We make accommodations for disabilities all the time. It's an accommodation for that child. Create a behavior chart. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Work on no more than 2 or 3 areas of improvement at a time. You cannot fix them overnight. Rome was not built in a day. And you're going to drive them crazy if you go over every single little thing they do. So pick 2 to 3. I always suggest picking one that is your push button issue, and we'll get to that. One that's going to help them with their social skills and get them involved in a group. And then maybe one more, but don't go over that 2 to 3. Create your behavior chart and award system, and work with parents to create a plan of action. These are the 3 things I'm working on here. If you could help work on them at home, that'd be great. Or if you could help me somehow, that would be awesome. In a perfect world, this is what administrators would do. So these are like your principles. Children with ODD, of course, they cause a very stressful environment. You saw with Virginia, it's a stressful environment. So it would be awesome if maybe her principal or administrator could meet with her and say, all right, you and I are going to meet monthly, or if you just need to come down here or whatever and unload, then that needs to be available to you. Sounding board, give advice. Again, go over those push button issues. You ever hear a teacher say, it really just pushes my buttons when my child or this child doesn't say ma'am to me? It really just pushes my buttons for eye rolling. All right, well, that's an issue for you, and your job is to stay calm. So if that's your issue, let that be one of your topics that you're going to work on, because you're teaching. You're not just punishing. You're going to say, okay, this is our plan to stop that, and I'm going to be calm, and you're going to learn what I'm expecting from you. And discuss with that teacher that plan of action. Give some ideas. Seek additional outside professional help for the student or for the teacher. I've had plenty of teachers who, come out of classrooms crying. It's stressful. It's hard. They're not easy children to deal with, so they may need some backup as well. I did forget to mention, even though I have it written in big bold letters, on your desk you have a contract. That's a contract between the teacher, the student, and the parent. It's a good idea just to implement that in your classroom for everyone to sign, just so everyone's on the same page. You know what to expect from me, I know what to expect from you, from the student and parent.
Okay, now
We will be addressing
We're going to watch a video for the
non-compliance.
positive strategies.
By non-compliance, we mean that class of behavior such as not following directions,
Randall, Joe, seats please.
defiance,
No.
oppositional behavior,
No way.
insubordination, not minding,
Cheyenne.
resisting directions.
Anna, your turn. Come on up, please.
We will present strategies to establish compliance and cooperation, correct non-compliance, and maintain the flow of instruction.
Okay, everyone, you did a great job in math today. So let's get out our spelling books and move and sit with your spelling partners. Great job. Terry, it's time to grab your spelling book and move and sit with your spelling partner.
No.
Why doesn't everybody open up their spelling books and get started on their work?
Terry, now you've been asked to go and sit with your spelling partner, or you're going to have to miss recess. You need to think about that, okay?
Who can tell me the most difficult word that we learned yesterday? Sammy. Elephant. Great. There you go. Thank you, Terry. So who can tell me how to spell elephant? Tyler.
E-L-E-P-H-A-N-T.
Okay, now I have a list of things that parents can do. It's very similar to what teachers do, but this is just at home. The first one, like teachers, stay calm. If you freak out your child, he's not gonna listen at all. He's just gonna freak out more. Have consistent rules and consequences. They like things stay the same. Don't change things up. Like if they do something wrong and one day it's go to the corner and the next day they do the same thing and now it's you're getting a spanking. It's not gonna stay the same. Give specific praise for appropriate behavior. Like if your little kid cleans up his toys, say thank you for cleaning up your toys. It's been helpful to the family today. Keep your child busy and stick to a schedule or a routine. When I was younger, my mom and dad would have like a list of chores for the week. On Monday, I clean my room. On Tuesday, clean dishes. And it's the same every single week. Create a safe place or cool down area, like in the classroom. Model all the expected behaviors of the child. Make time for yourself, especially because you need to cool down also. Work with your child's teacher and form a plan of action together. And be forgiving. Start every day on a clean slate. Just forget about things that happened the day before. And throughout all this, testing, therapy, and medication should also be going on.
And we have another video we're going to get you to watch. The other one was more of what positive ways that you can interact with children that have ODD. As you've seen, she gave the child an option, gave her time to process it, and she actually thought it through and joined the rest of the class. This is going to be more of a home scenario, so y'all pay attention and see if y'all can tell the mom any different ways she can interact with her child here. As you all can tell, the mom is kind of checked out. She isn't really involved in what her child's doing. She's not offering any kind of calming scenario for him to deal with these emotions. She's pretty much just ignoring him. While she's hoping this will get rid of the problem, we all know with a child like this, it's probably not. It's just going to make it worse. And he's just trying to get some attention out of her. And she's doing good by not giving him attention, but she's not doing anything to correct the behavior. So.
It's called a bill. And also, if you watch the rest of the video, he continues to do everything, and then he started throwing temper tantrum about that he can't go to a park with his mom. Then he also has to put on the pull-up just to drink water. But I'll be reading a poem from a mom's perspective called "No Matter What You Do, I'll Never Love You." He throws a punch. He bumps his head into my mouth. He says, "I'm going to kill everyone in this house." His big brown eyes said, "Help me." He cries and cries and cries. I can't stop my baby from crying. No, he's not an infant. He doesn't need to be fed or changed or birthed. He's 7. He's 7 years old, and he's afraid of his own shadow. He thinks he's a failure. He thinks he's bad at everything. He was born that way. He was born thinking he'd never be good at anything. He says, "No matter what you do, I'll never love you." I love him. I love him with all of my being, with every ounce of love I could possibly give. I cry for him. I cry and cry and cry. He looks at me with those big brown eyes. He rubs my arm. He smushes his little head into my chest. He loves me the best that he can. So in our skit from earlier, what could Virginia do better as a teacher?
Not get upset.
You gotta separate it.
Separate girls. Not fuss at one of the students'
So,
friends.
so instead of telling her to get out, maybe I should have said, if you would like to enjoy your lunch today and not sit in silent lunch, then you can join the rest of us. If you would like to have silent lunch, you may remain here and continue with your creative writing. That way she would have had an option and a choice to make, and she might have made the right choice and finished and came and joined the rest of the class. So, but we'll never know, because we both got mad, and she stopped out, and I probably quit my job.
What I learned in the hours that I did at the school, that kids are big on chocolate milk, strawberry milk. A teacher used milk as a source too. She was like, if you don't do that, you won't be able to get your chocolate milk or the strawberry, you're going to get your white milk. And they dread it. They're like,
I have a question. What's the age range like?
The thing, once you get past the toddler stage, so depending, 3 or 4 years old, after that point, the child should be able to self-soothe and have a little bit more self-control, to be able to deal with situations. So if you have, say, like a 6-year-old, a first grader, and they're throwing tantrums at school because you told them to get in line, they didn't want to get in line, and they would not calm down at all. That's probably when you need to do, like she was saying, like testing and get therapy and figure out if that's the true problem, what's going on.
Do they grow out of it? Because I feel like I know some people my age that
Some
act just like that.
Some do grow out of it, and then others, they still continue to have that trait, but it get worse.
That's why you have an adults that you see at Walmart getting mad at the associates because they can't find the lid to the storage bin that they wanted to go with, and they're freaking out on them, and they're just, these are grown people that have this disorder too, they can't stand authority. Yes.
And if we give, I know it's time, if you have to leave, feel free to, if you have a class, but if not, if we can give them 1 more minute, we can continue the conversation, but go ahead.
How can you distinguish between like a student who doesn't have that sort of pressure at home and can do this at home, and the mom just zones out and they just bring that to school with them, versus one who has ODD?
There's testing that tells you children have ODD, and usually ODD is accompanied by ADHD, bipolar, those types of things, so you'll see that. Either way, ODD children, children who have issues at home and aren't expected to act a certain way at home, go to school and can be taught, and they learn to act a certain way at school versus how they act at home. ODD children don't care how they act wherever they are.
Right. And I think the good thing about, and we'll respect people's time and we'll bring this conversation, because we'll talk about all of these things again, but I think the good thing about even the strategies you talked about, they're just good for all children. You'll have those students, like you said, that because they can get away with things at home, they will try it at school, and still just being able to educate them, giving them options, doing whatever, giving them choices, then they can exercise it. I think I asked that question once before. When children can't read, we teach them. When they can't do this, we teach them, whatever. But when they don't know how to act, we tend to punish them. But if we think about, we need to teach them, and like you said, if you have ODD, if you have emotional behavior disorder, if you have whatever, those burst out, you can't contain them when you're in that moment. It's kind of like telling somebody they can't have a seizure when people are, you can't say.
Or like having Tourette, when you're like, don't say that word, and it's like, I can't help it. It's like a hiccup reflex.
Correct. So I think the good thing about this, we may be making accommodations for those students, but they're probably good practices to have in your head for all of your students, and it'll just make for a better climate. Let's give them a hand clap. We'll talk about all of these.